Hey everyone, Coach John here, head pro at the Racket Club of Cocoa Beach, and hope everybody's staying safe out there. I've got a great video for you today that's focusing all about grips. So pay attention, we're going to be talking about all those kinds of grip sizes and different types of grips that are sold out there, and also at the end, how you actually re-grip your racket. So stay tuned, we got more on the way. Okay, so the first thing we're going to start off with is grip sizes. And most players don't even really think about it, but I can tell you as a coach and as somebody that does run a racket shop, you want to make sure that you know those grip sizes, especially with the one that you're playing with, because it's just going to make it that much easier when you come to deciding to buy a racket, or you're asking a question about the size of the handle that you should have. It's just going to bring a little bit more of that to light so you know what you're looking for and make it a little easier. So first off, there's a couple of 5 sizes, and these are all generic across all brands, so it doesn't really matter which one. So first off is there's a little 0, and that's going to be a 4-inch grip. Okay, the next one is going to be my 4 and an 8. The number 2 is going to be 4 and a quarter. Number 3 is going to be 4 and 3/8. Number 4 is going to be 4 and a half. And our number 5 is going to be a 4 and 5/8. You thought you were done with fractions in high school, didn't you? But they come back to haunt you through everyday life. So smile and enjoy it. So these are very important. I will say that this grip, number 3, is one of the most common grip sizes that we find out there, and most standard across the board. It works for most players. But I do have to say, there is a grip size specifically for you. So it's very important to experiment and find out what those feel like and how they feel in your specific hand, because there's not just one that works well. So what we're going to do now is I've got a demo table, and I'm going to show you what those different grip sizes look like up close. Okay, so we're here at my demo table, and what we're going to do is we're going to look at all these rackets. I'm going to show you exactly where to look for that little number on there. I am missing one grip size, which is that number 1. I just don't have it. So here we go. We're going to go look at these rackets in depth so you can kind of tell for yourself. So here we go. So what you're going to look for is, you can see right here by my finger, there's a little number 2 right there. And so remember that number 2 stands for that 4 and a quarter grip size. So then obviously you move to the next one, and you can see this is a number 3 right here. Okay, and then moving on, there's my number 4 right there. And then finally, my number 5, which is a different brand, is right here. But like you can see, all of these are different brands, but they all still have the same number on it. Okay, so here's a better visual of what I'm talking about on the grip sizes. We have, this is my number 5 here, that 4 and 5/8. Then moving up to that number 4, number 3, number 2, and then obviously I'm missing number 1. But this would be my 0 grip that would be at a 4. Most junior rackets, the smaller ones are usually in that 4 grip size, or maybe even sometimes when you get a little smaller, even smaller than that 4 grip size. So there you can see visually, it gives you a better idea of what we're looking at. Don't worry, I've just removed all the butt caps, so these are all playable rackets. So here we go. So now we're going to move on. Okay, so I'm going to give you the general rule here of how to select a grip size. If you look at my hand here, I can show you. We like to go by, when you're holding that continental grip, that it's about a thumb's in difference. Okay, again, this is not a standard, this is just kind of a rough outline, because again, looking at how it feels in your hand, as you can see, when I go down to that 4.5, it's still there, it's still comfortable. So what can happen is I can choose to be in that in-between size. And when that comes in, then you start adding some over grips. and that's a great way to get that really customized feel for what you like. And also the main thing that I like to reiterate is, if you're always unsure of what grip size to go with when selecting a new racket, I always say, if you're not 100% sure on that grip size, you can always go with a grip size down and build it up by adding grips, but you can never build it down. And you can, but it becomes a situation where you have to take it to a specialist, and then they shave the grip down. It's just a lot more fully involved with doing that. So now we're going to move on to the different types of grips that are out there. Okay, so we're moving on here, and now what we're going to talk about, now that we've got the sizes under control, what we're going to do now is talk about the two different types of grips that are out there for purchase. And what we want to look here, the biggest one is the replacement grip. And these are traditionally sold in one pack, like one grip per pack. So, and at the top right hand corner of the package, it usually says big and bold replacement. So with this grip, what you want to understand is there's a certain use for this grip. And this grip, you want to take it all the way down to the very bare part of the racket. And so I'm going to grab my racket here and kind of show you what I mean by that. So you can see here I've got my grip, and I'm pulling the replacement grip off, okay? And usually the replacement grip is also what is originally on the racket. And you can hear that sticky sound kind of pulling off. And if you want to take a look, it has some adhesive on here, and it's going to help keep that grip staying in place, because as you can see underneath the racket, there's really no padding. And if you were to use an over grip in this scenario, that grip would just slide all over the place. It would roll up. So you really want to make sure when you're keeping that racket done for a replacement that you do use the correct type of grip. And then also, these are also a little bit thicker than an over grip. So they provide a little bit more padding on that racket. If you're also trying to stay very, very true to the size of the racket grip size, that's where you would use that replacement grip. It's not that big of a deal to add maybe one over grip to it. It's not going to make that big of a difference as size goes. But if you're super comfortable with the way that it feels, hey, I would replace it and go with this route. So I'm gonna put this racket down. We're gonna move on to the next. Okay, so now that we've handled the replacement grips, we're gonna talk about the over grips. And this is the one that you really, if you can get into the habit of replacing that grip often, I would highly recommend you finding an over grip that you like. It's just substantially cheaper than purchasing replacement grips all the time. And like I said, they are very thin, so it's not going to make too much of a difference on the grip size. But they're traditionally sold in 3-packs. If you buy it in an actual package, they do sell them in little rolls of grip, and that usually just means it's one. So they make so many different types of over grip in a various number of colors. So this is where you do have a little bit of fun, where you can pick a different color and really personalize your racket a little bit in that way. So I'm going to grab my racket here and kind of peel off what that over grip looks like so you see the difference of the two. All right, here we go. I've got my racket here, and I just peel off the tape. And you can see that grip very easily comes off. Much different from the other type. And you can see, there we go at the very bottom, okay? And you can see how dirty it actually was. So it was time for me to replace that grip. You can see it was starting to tear a little bit. This racket was ready to be replaced. So when that grip is a little bit older or a little bit more dirty, your hand will traditionally slide a little bit more. So especially here in Florida with those, hot and humid conditions in the summer, you really want to have that nice dry grip so that you can keep your hand on that and not slide when you hit those shots. So what we'll do now is I'll give you a close-up of what that grip looks like, and you can see it's very thin and it's nice, and on one side you'll see it's a little bit more rubbery, And you can see that right here, if you want to look in, this was a piece of adhesive that was right there. And that's actually where you're going to start your grip and when you go to re-grip this. So hang in there, I'm going to show you how to re-grip your racket now. Okay, so I'm going to show you now how to re-grip that racket. I've got an older grip, but I'm just going to reuse it because the concept is the same. And this is also a really good way to practice and not waste grips so that you get your technique to re-grip it and you just become a little bit faster as you do it. So what you would do is you're going to find that flat part of the racket. You're going to go ahead and put that grip down. I like to hold it with my opposite hand. And then I just start turning. I'll switch a little bit and I'll kind of work that racket around. And then now once I go here, I'm going to start slowly declining. And I like to put a little pressure down on this bottom side so that you can see it hits the racket and it doesn't create that little lip. And you can see it's curling just a little because it's an older grip. So just don't think that's a technique error. Don't worry, it's perfect. So you can see as I roll it and I just get a little bit more and I increase as I go. If you have a one-hand backhand, you can usually tend to stop somewhere around here and you can just rip that grip off. If you do have that two-hand backhand, you just continue on and you get here. Now, if you want to make it nice and thin, you go spacing wise, you go a little bit like that. If you want to make it a little thicker, you know, you can make the separation between there a little bit differently so you can play around with how it feels in that sense. And then once you get to here, you can see now I've ended the grip, okay? And then what I'm going to do is I'll take that little tag and just place it on and wrap it around. And then finish it out. Again, you can see this one kind of got beat up with the way that I took it off. But then you just right there, and now I have my grip. So I'm ready now to go play. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. It's one of those more important things that you realize, and now you know better how to select the grip size for your racket, re-grip your racket, and also picking the right type of grip so that you can stay on top of your game. So make sure those rackets are re-gripped and ready to go when we get back out on those courts. Hope to see you soon.